Hi, and welcome to Plan 9 Crunch. I'm Jack Sinope, and today we're going to be doing a read of the week. Specifically, I'll be reading from the book Master Li and the 10 Oxes. This is a book written in 1998. It was actually 3 different books by the author, who then later it was compiled. These are stories set in an ancient China, mythologized and embellished a little just for the sake of having a bit of a fanciful feel to it, almost like what Wes Anderson does when he sets his movies in places. So it was kind of interesting, and I wanted to share a particular section where the imagery to me was just very evocative of, the silliness and the fun and weird that's going to come in this story. And so I'd like to read, and then we'll get to that. The abbot used to say that the emotional health of a village depended on having a man whom everyone loved to hate, and heaven had blessed us with 2 of them. Our landmarks are our lake and our wall, and both of them are the result of the superstition and mythology of ancient times. When our ancestors arrived in the valley of Chou, they examined the terrain with the greatest of care, and we honestly believe that no village in the world has been better planned than the village of Khufu. Our ancestors laid it out so that it would be sheltered from the black tortoise, a beast of the very worst character, whose direction is north and whose element is water and whose season is winter. It is open to the red bird of the south and the element of fire and the season of summer. And the eastern hills where the blue dragon lives, with the element of wood and the hopeful season of spring, are stronger than the hills to the west, which is the home of the white tiger, metal, and the melancholy season of autumn. Considerable thought was given to the shape of the village, on the grounds that a man who built a village like a fish, while a neighboring village was built like a hook, was begging for disaster. The finished shape was the outline of a unicorn, a gentle and law-abiding creature with no natural enemies whatsoever. But it appeared that something had gone wrong, because one day there was a low snorting sort of a noise, and the earth heaved, and several cottages collapsed, and a great crack appeared in the soil. Our ancestors examined their village from every possible angle, and the flaw was discovered. When one of them climbed to the top of the tallest tree on the eastern hills and gazed down. By a foolish oversight, the last 5 rice paddies had been arranged so that they formed the wings and body of a huge hungry horsefly that had settled upon the tender flank of the unicorn. So of course the unicorn had kicked up its heels. The paddies were altered into the shape of a bandage, and Khufu was never again disturbed by upheavals. They made sure that there would be no straight roads or rivers that might draw good influence away. And as a further precaution, they dammed up the end of a narrow little valley and channeled rivulets down the side of the hills, and thus produced a small lake that would capture and hold good influences that might otherwise trickle away to other villages. They had no aesthetic intent whatsoever. The beauty of our lake was an accident of superstition. But the result was such that when the great poet Xu Ma Xiangju passed through on a walking trip 500 years ago, he paused at the little lake and was inspired to write to a friend. The waters are loud with fish and turtles, a multitude of living things, wild geese and swan, greylags, bustards, cranes and mallards, loons and spoonbills, flock and settle on the waters, drifting lightly over the surface, buffeted by the wind, bobbing and dipping with the waves, sporting among the weedy banks, gobbling the reeds and duckweed, pecking at water, chestnuts, and lotuses. It is like that today, and Xu Ma Changju was not there in the season to see the masses of wildflowers or the tiny dappled deer that come to drink and then vanish like puffs of smoke. That's all we'll read for today, but I encourage you to go back, pick yourself up a copy off the thrift books. It's fairly cheap. Well, as Kindles go, it's $10. But I'm looking at getting a paper copy because I think having paper copies of books I really enjoy is important. That's all we have for today at Plan 9 Crunch. Give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, or wherever you're watching this. Thank you, and that's a wrap.